Hello YouTubers, this is Banglefar making another video. This is something new that I've been wanting to do for a while, is kind of a versus side-by-side comparison of main characters from Final Fantasy. Now, this is controversial. Everybody has their favorite characters. However, I want to put each character on an equal basis, and that includes shitty characters like Lightning from Final Fantasy 13, which believe me, she has it coming. But today's segment is going to be Vaan and Tidus. So let's get things started. First things first, starting attributes. Well, just like Tidus, Vaan has the license system. Very, very similar to the sphere grid. Now, the only difference is that the license system gives you the choice of customizing your characters to how you want. So Vaan can be a mage, a tank, a ranged fighter, or a massive DPSer. I know this sounds a lot like World of Warcraft, but that's the way this game was built. So, saying that, you can make Vaan practically however you want, very much like Tidus in the sphere grid. The only difference is that, well, it's kind of hidden behind a bunch of hidden blocks and you don't really know what you're clicking. But that's part of the fun of Final Fantasy XII because you don't have to worry about fighting randomly. You actually run into your enemies and it's kind of fun. So, given that, that is exactly what you have to offer with Final Fantasy XII and Vaan. Vaan is customizable, and that's what Vaan has. Tidus, on the other hand, is actually, believe it or not, kind of similar when it comes to leveling. You start off at level 1, very much like Vaan, and you have the sphere grid, which is a complex system in which you fight random enemies on the battlefield, collect spheres, and use it to progress to the next attribute to raise HP, MP, or to learn abilities. This works like the license board, except you actually know what you're going to be getting. It feels very linear at first. However, near the end of the game, you can start breaking the barriers between customizing your characters, and then you end up having something very similar to the license system. So, out of the two leveling systems, and the fact that these two characters start off at level 1, who do I think is a better character in terms of fighting and starting attributes? I would have to say Vaan, simply because you have the choice of customizing that early on. I mean, if you pick the wrong things, just unfortunately, you're going to have a long road ahead of you getting yourself situated into a more comfortable playing position. It gets really complex. So point goes to Vaan.
I hate you, Banglefar.
Which brings us to personalities. No, but really, I mean, is there really a competition here? I know a lot of you will say, well, Vaan has no character development. Vaan is a very stale character. Tidus went through a lot of stuff. Sin is his daddy. Well, I have a couple of things to say about this too. You see, Vaan was far from it. Yes, I know that he tagged along with Balthier and company, and that he was just a street rat who knew nothing and got caught up in a chain of events that he practically had no control of. But you know what? He had character development. He was somebody who knew what he wanted. He was somebody that had a dream and chased after it and went with friends to help get what he wanted. Now, how is that not character development? I actually got into an argument with somebody about this once because they told me, oh, that's not character development. No. According to them, the only way you can have a real good character development is if you go through a really emo phase like Squall or even Cloud or somebody who's like really stupid like Lightning. So in the end, Vaan ends up becoming a sky pirate. He gets the girl, he gets his own airship, and guess what? He gets to have the adventures that he always wanted. That is a very good character development considering he started off as some worthless street rat. How is that not character development? Oh, it must be exactly like what I said. It's because he's not emo and he doesn't follow the cliche RPG tragic hero with the chip on his shoulder. carrying a big ass sword. Yeah, that means he sucks. So let's talk Tidus for a little bit. Okay, what do we know about him? Apparently, he's the dream of a dead civilization's dream of a sports star's potential son. Yeah, it makes no fucking sense. And then to top it off, you have to play as this whiny ass motherfucker who does nothing throughout the entire game but bitch and whine and mope and complain about every single thing. When you have characters as bad as Tidus in your party saying shit that makes no sense, I mean, where can you go right? And then to top it all off, you find out that his grudge against his father, instead of being really cool and justified, it's nothing because it turns out his dad was actually a really good guy. Wow, so much for being a real fucking man, Tidus. You're an awesome main character. So now we'll talk appearances. But hey, don't get your hopes down too much. I have some good things to say about Tidus. Now this is one of the things about Tetsuya Nomura's artwork that I have to admit. All of his main characters look generally pretty badass. I mean, they have a bunch of accessories and zippers and shit like that. And like I said, they stand out really good. It looks really cool. But here's the biggest problem with this. It's the fact that the main characters never seem to fit in with the rest of the world. Whereas the characters are wearing fashion and clothing that seems to like stand out and make them really special. Everybody else is wearing really generic and crappy looking clothing. I don't understand why this happens. Where does Tidus get his clothes? Why doesn't somebody else get it? And before you go and say, oh, well, he's from the future, or he's from the past 1,000 years, or some shit like that. Hey, well, guess what? I don't give a shit. Because Waka and all those other people, what about Lulu? Where the fuck did she buy her dress? Nobody wears shit like that on Spira. Vaan, on the other hand, kind of looks like a gay Aladdin. Don't get me wrong, I like his clothing because it fits in with the world and everyone else seems to be wearing the same shit, so he gets away with it. The only difference is, well, there are other appearances with both Vaan and Tidus. Let's see them side by side. Point goes to Vaan for putting on a fucking shirt. And Tidus, you should be ashamed of yourself for spiking up your fucking clothing somehow with like hair gel or something. We're running out of time, so here's the last category. The hottest chick. While both Penelope and Yuna share the same characteristic in which they believe in their lover, it's quite obvious who takes the cake here. I'm sorry, but when you go from wearing a robe to wearing this, there's no fucking way in hell that Penelope is gonna win. This is just too hot for words, even though she's a fucking idiot. But that's okay. Tidus is really stupid too, which concludes this segment in Who is the Winner.